Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the Profit Lifestyle for Fitness Entrepreneurs podcast. I'm Scott Carpenter. And what we're doing on this particular episode is we're going to give a recording of a live webinar that we just did on creating a winnable model built on 30 to 50% profit margins. And so this is something where you can profit and make out of a single location $100,000 to over $300,000 in net profit per year. It's a very valuable presentation, so we wanted to make sure to drop it in the podcast list. On this, we are giving you an amazing profit predictor. A lot of us just have not done the advanced math to figure out acquisition versus churn in our price points. And what happens is that we're just habitually kind of stuck where we're at and we can't make breakthroughs. So whether you're struggling in your business and you're just not making the money you want, or you're doing pretty well, but you need to find that breakthrough, that's going to add another $50,000, $100,000 in profit to your bottom line every year. You really want to listen to this episode. I'm giving out the Profit Predictor free for everyone. And not only that, but on this webinar, we've also given out 2 free tickets to the 2026 live event that we're putting on here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and a $1,000 free coaching call with me to go over whatever you want, whatever the bottlenecks are in your business. Now, in this Profit Predictor tool, I will be screen sharing how to use it, why it's so damn valuable, and how it's going to help you identify your bottlenecks to move your business forward. So in the podcast show notes, we'll also drop a link so you can watch the screen recording as well. And in the link, we'll give you all the freebies as well. So check the show notes to be able to watch it so you can actually see this on your computer screen as well. But continue to listen to the podcast because you're going to really understand why this is so damn valuable. And then go back and watch the video as well and go back and grab all your freebies. Welcome to the Profit Lifestyle for Fitness Entrepreneurs podcast. My name is Scott Carpenter. I am a personal trainer turned multiple gym owner and investor who's already been through the rock bottom and near bankruptcy in the fitness business. But I've been lucky enough to come out the other side and have turned the profits of my fitness business into indestructible wealth. I'll be sharing the no bullshit strategies, tactics, and advice to win big in business and in life. So if you're a gym owner, a personal trainer, or an online coach who wants to make multiple 6 figures in take-home profit and have the freedom with your time to actually enjoy it, subscribe now to this podcast. This is the show for you. All right, we're going to take it away. So we're going to go over, obviously, how to create a winnable model. And winnable model is something that is going to allow you to make the money that you want with a reasonable margin of error, right? Where not everything needs to go perfect for you to get to where you need to be. This is the challenge today. And so I'm really big on net profit. That's what I love to see for all of us owners is what we're really taking home. That's the important thing. Revenue can be an ego metric, right? But it's what is in our pockets. And so I like to design a business with really big profit margins, because if everything doesn't go according to plan, I still need you making really good money. And that's it. Like a lot, we just really struggle with that. So we're going to give out awesome freebies on this call where you're going to get this profit predictor. Derek, we were talking about this. This is going to be very, very, very valuable for you to diagnose exactly what's holding you back and what you need to do to move forward. And when we look at the data to drive decisions rather than just our gut or the default, I need more members, this is really going to point out what you need to do to fix things so you can get one step closer to your dream business. So you're going to get this on the call. There's also some cool stuff that I have for you as well. Really high value gift that's just completely free that I'm going to give to you as well. So we'll leave that for a little bit later. But this webinar is for 2 types of business owners. So one, if you're struggling, right, and you're not really making what you need to make in your life to support you, to support your family and how you're doing, you're just getting by, this is really going to help you. But then there's also people who are doing pretty well, right? You're solid, you have a foundation, it's profitable, but you're just missing 1 or 2 small things to really break through and make this into your dream business. And that is for you too. So whether you're struggling or you're kind of just stuck and you don't know what your next move is, this will really help enlighten so you can figure out what it is for you, right? All the business coaches and all the advertisers in the world want to say it's just one thing. that you need to do to get to where you need to be, and that's coincidentally what they sell, right? Maybe, maybe not. Your business, your market is unique, and we got to figure out what it is, what that one or two things we need to do in your business to move it forward. So that's what we're going to be able to do today. This webinar is for people who want to, in a location, be able to make $100,000 to $300,000 in profit, not revenue, but profit, right? With big net profit margins. And a lot of times our margins are just way too small, way too small. So let's diagnose this. Let's dive in. Let's fix your business. Like I said, quite often, so many of us are just like, okay, I just need to get to X amount of members. I just need to get to X amount of members. Once I get there, everything will be good. Now, sometimes we do get there and we're like, well, where's the profit? Right? Because something needs to be changed in our model. And sometimes we just are on that hamster wheel and we can't get to that number of members. Why? Because of the other side of it. It's not just all acquisition. We've got our churn too, right? How many people we're bringing in every month? How many people we're losing every month? And every single market, I don't care how good you are, how good your paid ads are, how great on fulfillment you are, every market is going to have a balance point where it's like, it just ain't moving past that, right? And the thing is if you're just stuck at this thing, can you move the needle on further in acquisition? Can you reduce churn? And in some cases you can, and you have to do different things. But everybody's obstacle is going to be a little bit different. But there are market forces where you can't always just get more members, right? I don't think Taylor's on the call today, but he helps Andy and I help you guys. You know, he's in a town of 2,500 people. That pie is only it's not going to get any bigger, right? And so he needs to adopt different things. So there's market equilibrium and market forces that exist. You need to make sure your business can win no matter what, no matter what. Things have gotten harder over the past couple of years. Has anybody seen that? Acquisition has been harder for a lot of folks. Paid ads definitely do not hit like they used to. Getting a low cost per lead is still relatively easy, right? But what is not easy is getting people to respond, getting to come in the door, right? I've also seen that people stay a little bit shorter too. Churn seems to be higher than it was. Now, there's a few reasons for these kind of things, but GLP-1s, peptides, hormone replacement therapy, Ozempic, my wife went to a pajama party with some girls at the open membership gym that we go to, the Lifetime Fitness, right? They're all on Ozempic, period. I mean, the market has just changed a little bit, right? Before we always said, well, hey, the good news is there's no magic bullet. There's no magic pill that for weight loss. Well, that changed, right? Changed a little bit. So we have to change and evolve too. But I mean, that's definitely affected things. You know, a survey as of like a year ago was like already 1 out of 8 adults in the United States are on or have tried GLP-1s. And that's a huge amount. So that has changed the game. Free information, especially with COVID, accelerated it, right? Workouts are free, man. You can work out from now until the day you die with whatever materials you have around your house, everything on YouTube and social media. It's all free, right? Or super cheap. And competition's everywhere too. There's a lot of chains that have oversupplied the market with franchises in some cases. There's a low barrier to entry to what we do. You can open up a box, right? Rent a little box, put some equipment in there and start. So we do have a lot of competitors. So things have gotten harder, no doubt about it, but you can still break through and get out of that hamster wheel. But it's not always by working harder, it's by working smarter. Because quite often we just haven't done the advanced math to make sure we're playing a game that's actually winnable. And we're just fighting ourselves because we haven't done that advanced math. And that advanced math is a little bit more complicated. And what I've created is this diagnostic tool, this Profit Predictor, so we can figure out exactly what that obstacle is that you're facing and overcome it. So, and everybody's going to get this. Quite often, you are just 1 or 2 small changes away from really making this business what you want it to be. Most of you have already done the hard work. You've figured out how to open your place. You started it up. You have your schedules. You've got a decent amount of clients right now, whether it's enough or not quite enough. But you put in all the hard work getting this thing going, getting this ball rolling down the hill. And it only takes, you just got to work smarter now. You just got to work smarter to make this business happen. And I mean, there's really three steps to breaking through. Is number one, identifying that bottleneck, right? What are the one or two bottlenecks in your business? And then it's finding what is the easiest, most simple strategy to clear that bottleneck. As business owners, we get flooded with ideas and we get flooded with shiny objects and we get flooded. We can really make an easy business complicated like that. Andy, you're laughing, and you know I do this too. Holy shit, do we immediately go to the most complicated solution and most in-depth thing, right? And this is where we want to build out extravagant funnels and do this and this and this. But at the end of the day, holy cow, do we overcomplicate what should be really simple? And the art of it is finding the easiest, most simple strategy and tactics to clear that bottleneck. And that allows us to execute simple scales, simple we can execute. But we make things overly complicated. We never really execute at the level we need to with simple things that will just get us there. Keep it simple, stupid, right? And that's the important thing. So the third thing is commitment to that, to the execution of whatever strategy or tactic that's going to get you to where you need to be. And there's other things you can do, but man, you just need to focus on the one or two things you need to do that will completely change your business, that will completely change your life. And so it's clearing those bottlenecks that are important, because I don't care how many leads are coming in or whatever it is and how great everything else is, whatever that choke point is, whatever that bottleneck is, it's going to limit your output. It's going to limit your profit. So we've got to clear that bottleneck to get that throughput and get that profit coming in. So this is where we're going to use this Profit Predictor tool, okay? So this is very powerful because it will do the advanced math to help you make the right decisions today, right? And so the way this works is that, I mean it very, very simple. There's two sheets down here, like there's your current state, and then there's the one that we're going to make the changes on for your winnable model. And this is where we're going to fill out your information. Basically, just the yellow boxes are what we're going to fill out. And remember, what's important is not just revenue. What's more important than revenue is profit. Absolutely, bar none, right? So profit is very important. So we want to see how changes will impact your top line on the revenue, but we also want to see how it's going to impact your profit. So this is where we're going to plan your future. This is where we're going to plan your future. Now, when you get this, you can fill out your average number of starting clients up here in the yellow box in the upper left. So let's just say, for instance, somebody's got 100 clients. Let's say on average, they're signing up 6 new clients a month. On average, their churn is 8%. Now, what's churn? Churn means if you've got 100 clients and you lose 8 in a month, that monthly churn rate is 8%. Okay? If you lost 2, you have a churn rate of 2% for that month. Now, any given month is not that accurate, right? A lot of times we have higher churn around now, December, right? We have higher churn sometimes in the summer as people leave for vacations and things like that, right? Your mileage will vary depending on where you're at and the habits of people around you. But churn on average, for an average gym, is over 8%. We tend, really good is like 4 or 5%. We tend to give ourselves false numbers in here. We tend to make excuses for the people that leave, right? Like, oh, well, they were only here for 3 months because they moved out of state. That still counts as losing somebody, right? They only bought this initial intro package for a month and then they bounced out. That still counts as a churn member, right? We have to give very accurate numbers to ourselves. Now, you may or may not know your churn, but what we have to do is predict it, okay? You can look back over the past few months, see how many you left. Maybe you had 15 people over the last 3 months, and you've been averaging 100 for the last 3 months, give or take. Great. So the average is losing 5 a month. Divide that by your 100. 5%. So you should have a tool to be able to track this, your big metrics every week, every month. A lot of you don't. That's okay. We're going to start by approximating that, right? But you can put in your churn percentage. Industry average is definitely above 8%. That makes it, that also says why it's insanely difficult to grow. Okay. So let's just make these assumptions. Is you're signing up 6 people a month, your churn's at 8%. I have this in case you have a higher ticket or intro package that's different or more expensive or whatever than others, or even less expensive. You can delineate like what is the first month revenue coming in. And then this average ARM or ACV, it's average revenue per member per month or average client value per member per month. Same thing. But basically, if you're bringing in $25,000, okay, and you have 100 clients, it's simple math. The average person's the average person's worth $250 a month to you. Okay. So basically a really quick way, take the last 3 months of revenue, right? And then divide that by how many clients you had. There you go. That is your actual ARM or your actual ACV, not hypothetical. There's where you're at, right? If you do sell other things or you have other income coming in, you can I just did that really quickly. Like could be some swag or supplements. You can put that as a percentage of revenue, but let's just zero that out for simplicity. Okay. So here's where we really get to see this equilibrium in the market. How many you're adding versus how many you're losing. At this person right here, you're adding 6 a month, you're losing 8 a month. Okay. And so over time, you're going to go from 98 members, and in a year, you'll be down to 84 at that level. Okay. Sometimes the bottleneck is churn. Sometimes it's acquisition. Sometimes it's how much you're charging or additional offers that you need to have, right, to raise that ACV. So if somebody's signing up 8 people a month, that is right at equilibrium. You're gaining and losing 8 people. You're going to be stagnant, right? And so somebody's like, man, I need more members, I'm signing up 8 a month. I just can't grow. Yeah, you're not. But what if we kept the 8 a month, but we reduced the churn to 5.5, 5.5? Okay. Well, instead of being stagnant in a year, right, we would grow to 122 members by the next year, and we would be finishing at $32,600 a month is what we would be bringing in at that point, right? Now, what if, right, we raised this ACV? Let's back up. Let's say you still have 8% churn. Let's say instead, like we've taught hundreds of gym owners how to bolt on high ticket offers, right? Which add a lot of money in. That'll raise your ACV, whether it's a price increase, whether you have a higher ticket mentorship that you're bolting on. Let's say you can raise this over time for the average client value to be $350 a month through a combination of different methods. Now, with the same 100 members, not even growing, you're going to be at $37,800, okay, per month, as opposed to $27,000. So you would grow $10,000 a month with the same number of clients you currently have. The same number. Sometimes that's a far easier way to move the needle. More than likely, you're going to have a combination of all 3 of these things. But again, what we want to do is take a look at how this affects your profit. So the cool thing is you can come down here, and let's say you got this point where you're putting this at you get it to $300, right? You reduce your churn to 5.5, and still you're signing up 8 a month, right? Well, in a year's time, you'd be at almost $40,000. $40,000 in revenue. And there's going to be a variety of tactics you need to do to decrease your churn. We'll talk about those in a minute. And to bring up your average client value. So this is going to be totally different for everybody. You guys have different models. You guys have different markets. You guys have different services. So this will help you identify your bottlenecks. And when we come down here, this is where we can put in what you're currently paying yourself, your staff. Some of you have fixed salaries that you hand out. Some of you are doing it as a percentage of service or labor. You may or may not have sales commission. But the great thing is if you have a 10% sales commission, you can just add that in there. It'll go onto your payroll. So you can freely decide how you want to put in your expenses on here. Some are just all salaries and there's no service and labor, right? Versus some do it different ways. So I built this calculator so you can use it no matter what your business model is. And if it's on a percentage basis, a certain percentage basis, like let's say on average, your labor is 30% of your revenue. Great. This number will scale with you as you grow too. Okay. So you can make these expenses match. Beneath, you can put in your expenses, your rent, your utilities, equipment and repair budget, average it out for the month, office supplies, software, cleaning, right? This credit card percentage is mostly about 3% for most people, sometimes a little bit more. That will be automatically have a formula to play off of your total revenue, right? So that gets included in there. You can have custom categories if you want to split stuff out. Now this category here, owner write-off expenses. So owner write-off expenses. This is if you want to keep some good accurate things. Like a lot of you have your business paying for your automobile, your cell phone, right? Random things that you're writing off. So you can put that there. But I really want to show you also how your business, the total net owner benefit coming into you. So we'll get to that in a second. Here, if the cost to run ads and your ad spend can be down there as well. This will total your income, your expenses. You'll arrive at your net profit. But remember, your owner pay gets added back into that. And whatever those owner write-off expenses should be added back to that. Because that's your personal bills the company's paying for, right? So you can see in this instance, at this club bringing in $33,000, right? The actual net owner benefit to the owner is $11,500 a month. Okay. And the neat thing is when we explore changes, maybe you're thinking about a different way to do your payroll, right? Maybe we're playing up here. Like, hey, how can we move that ACV from 250 to 300? How could I go from signing up 6 people to 8 people a month? How could I reduce the churn from 10 to 6? All of these numbers will change for you. So you get to see your members added and where churn is going to equal your acquisition as well. So down the line, you can see that growth is really going to slow at year 2 because I'm going to be really, the churn keeps working against me the more members I have. And I'm going to grow, but much slower down the road at this clip, right? But you'll be able to see where you're at 32 months in the future. You'll be at 44K. Your net owner benefit will be 18,700, over 200K a month or 200K a year income to you. That's pretty good. It's like 210 or something like that. So you can see that. Now, for those of you, does anybody have business loans in here still? EIDL loans from COVID, things like that. This is great too, because I want you to be able to see what your cash flow is. So if you have business credit cards that need to pay off, business loans, equipment loans, EIDL loans, SBA loans, seller financing loans, whatever it is, you can put those down there and then you can see what your net cash flow is too. Your net cash flow. And this is after your profit. So, right, your net owner benefit is $11,500 a month. The net, because you're paying yourself a salary and the business is covering your expenses, the leftover profit is $5,700. But after you're paying down the loans, it's $4,800 in free cash flow. So this will be everything. You will be able to see everything, identify your bottlenecks holding you down. Andy, you started working with Jonathan Ginsberg, right? So he came on and wanted to do our high ticket launch program, built on high ticket into his gym. But what happened was that as Andy had started this with him, like, hey, let me get an idea of where your business is at right now before we go into that. You guys took a look at that. And what did you find out, Andy?
Yeah. So when we started digging into his business, we found that his churn was about 7%, which with his amount of clients means that he was losing about 15 clients per month. And yet he was only bringing in roughly about 5 to 10 new clients each month and spending an exuberant amount of money to even do that. So we realized that it wasn't necessarily a marketing problem that we had. We had to solve a retention problem first, because otherwise we were just going to be pouring money into a leaky bucket.
Yeah. Yeah. And it costs so much to acquire people with paid ads. It really does. And we've got to make sure. And a lot of times what we do is we start getting more and more clients and we're paying for all of those. More fall off because we have more to do. It's harder to keep up. And then it's like, cool, we've raised our membership rate, but like my profit sucks. My profit's not moving, even though my revenue is. That's a problem. It's about what we take home in our pockets. That's the most important thing. And I want you to build your business to make that happen. I don't want you working with 30 more clients and making no more money. I mean, it just doesn't even make any sense. So we want to make sure it's all working for you and working in the right way. So there's two tabs. Like what I want you guys to do after today is get some of your estimates in here. Okay. Take a look at the last 3 months and you can get these estimates in here. Just fill this out. It doesn't even need to be crazy exact right now. Like just ballpark it. You know what I mean? What are my utilities? Well, it ranges in the summer and the winter. Yeah. Okay. Just look it up real quick and put a ballpark in there. Maybe it's $400. Maybe you're off by $12. It doesn't matter right now. You know, if you do keep really good P&Ls, great. Just open up a rolling average, right? Take your year, divide it by 12. There you go. Plug those numbers in. But put all this stuff in there as best you can. And then after what you learned today, go to this next tab, duplicate the information, and then fiddle around with it. Let's look what happens if maybe you sign up one or two more, or you reduce your churn, or you increase your ACV. This is big. The average amount somebody pays you, and we'll discuss different ways you can move that needle, is huge. You saw, like if it increases from 250 to 350, that's 10 grand a month more for the same amount of work. That's pretty intense. And there's ways you can do it. It's not just doing a huge price increase on everybody, right? So let's talk about some of the solutions depending on where your bottleneck is. So find your bottleneck. You're going to have one or two that you really want to focus on, right? Identify the bottleneck, find the easiest, most simple strategy to eliminate or clear that bottleneck, and commit to executing that. Avoiding the distractions, the shiny objects, okay, to move this. So, when it comes to profit, which is what we want, it's two ways. We either increase revenue or reduce expenses. That's it, right? Now, when it comes to cutting expenses, there's only so much we can do. You will never save your way to wealth, period, ever. That's not to say some people can cut expenses. Some people have way too much space on their lease and they need a smaller space. That happens a lot, right? Another common thing that I see, and sometimes you can do something about that now, sometimes you can't, right? There are different, it really depends on your situation, your lease, your contract, if you can sub, whatever it is. There are limitations there, right? But lease can be a big one. Payroll. A lot of times I see payroll that is just going to waste quite often. It's not creating the incentives, or we're paying a little bit too much in certain areas and not getting our money's worth. That can be another one. Sometimes there's ways you can achieve more efficiency with your software in in the services that you're using, and sometimes not, right? There's only so many expenses to trim, to cut, and once you do that and you're okay on your expenses, again, you got to go the other way. You have to focus on revenue. And if we look at that, there are three primary ways to increase revenue. Number one, we add more members, which is generally the only thing that people think about, right? But we know that the more members we get, the more the churn hits us too, right? The more members we have, the more members we're going to lose. And at a certain point, we're not going to be able to grow past that equilibrium. So we can add more members. We can increase your average client value, or how much the average person spends with you, in different ways, or we can reduce your churn and keep people for longer. That's basically the three main ways that we have to increase revenue. So if we look at make key strategies on adding more members, we either do the paid ad route or we grow organically. Now, this is highly dependent on your market and your product. So markets are very different with paid ads. Some are absolute beasts. And they're like, I'm in that area, right? Being in with my locations being around the Phoenix Valley area, it's very competitive suburban kind of stuff. Damn, like it's really tough. A lot of the leads in the ad that we get from ads are just not good. It's a longer term play. We have to run organic plays to that contact list to get it to move anywhere. So you either need to pay for it, and quite often this is where so many of us shit the bed. We have either no strategy for organic acquisition or we don't execute on it. And man, in a day like where everything is ads and bots and vying for your attention on social media, I tell you what, the door is wide open for some easy organic acquisition plays that we're just not doing in our market. There's tons to choose from. And you don't need to do all of them. You need to pick one or two in what works for you, your strengths in your market, and that are working for you. And then you just keep doing it. But a lot of times we get lazy, like paid ads have gotten us lazy in a lot of ways, and they just don't work like they used to. We have to do this other stuff, period. It doesn't have to be complicated though. That gets in the way of execution, right? Simple, simple, simple. One thing that we just ran at one of mine was a reactivation campaign. And a lot of times they don't work very well, right? But we took a different spin on it. We had mentioned how they get credits that there are credits on your account that have to be redeemed and used before December 31st. Would love to get it to you. And we can just make it up for whatever it is. It could be $150. It could be $250. But that has caught their attention. At my Glendale location, we sent that out. We did like 3 emails and a couple text messages, and we've gotten a lot of response back. I think we've gotten 4 people in from it, and a couple of them were old former clients, alumni, and a couple of them were just old stale email lists. So John, that's an example of one for something like that. Other ones, John, are business to business plays. There's a lot you can do. Andy's got some great stuff with content and local Facebook groups and other things. You can do speeches. There's so many different things you can do. Some of them you will not want to do because it's not you. You have no interest in it. Don't do those. Let's go with the 1 or 2 that are going to move the needle for you that you actually want to do and that will be effective. But man, there's dozens of those plays. So we either got to add more members, okay, which is hard depending on your market. Sometimes there is room. I'm not totally crapping on paid ads. There are certain markets where they work really well still, or can work really well if you keep trying, right? And paid ads can help support all the organic stuff you do and vice versa. But you really need to be doing the organic stuff to get the value out of your paid ads too. Increasing your ACV or your ARM, how much the average person spends, right? Some of you guys are due for a price increase. Unlike every other business on earth, you haven't raised your prices in 8 years, right? I'm pretty sure your rent has gone up, right? I'm pretty sure your utilities have gone up, your internet's gone up, your insurance has gone up. There are ways to do that the right way. There are ways to do it the wrong way. But a price increase can be an easy way to do it when you do it the right way, okay? So you don't lose a lot of people. There is only so much you can charge for straight up workouts or a membership though, period, right? There's a level of a commodity to it. Some of you can also shift the model from like large group to small group or semi-private, or you just add one of those things, right? You're doing large group, you're also doing some one-on-one for a few select people, but it brings in an extra $6,000 a month, right? So you can do things like that with your model. High ticket offers. This is how I built the gyms that are really profitable for me, right? Those who need help with more than just the workouts, we have a high ticket mentorship. And essentially what that allowed us to do is, let's say the average first month, we sign up people that aren't high ticket for sure, but our average first month is like $1,500. And I think our ACV is around 500 if I averaged everything, something like this. Okay. I don't have 100 members in mind. We're not signing, some were signing up 8 and some were only signing up, 5. But if we take a look and I got 60 members, I'm at 38,000 a month with 60 people. And signing up 5 at 8% keeps us where we're at, right? We're just chugging along at about 38K right there, right? So there's different ways to achieve the end goal. This will help you really articulate and move through them. Absolutely. And maybe you're doing a high ticket offer, but you're more large group and you don't have a lot of continuity. So maybe this is only 250, right? But at 60 people, right here, we know if you're churning 8%, signing up 5 a month, your acquisition and churn are really going to cancel each other out. You're going to be stagnant. So we either got to reduce the churn or we got to increase the average number of signups, or we got to play around with these. So I really want you guys experimenting with this stuff. Okay. So increasing your ARM or ACV, which is insanely powerful. Price increase, model changer addition, high ticket offers, ancillaries, right? So in the high ticket, by the way, is like nutrition coaching on steroids. We're selling it as a mentorship, right? Ancillaries, this could be adding on GLP-1s or supplements or drop shipping meals to them, right? So there's a lot of different ways you can go. But what you need to do is don't do all of them, right? Pick 1 or 2 at a time and execute the living hell out of it. And you do that, you change the numbers on this board here, things look very different for you down the road. Very different for you. But I also want you to see how it's going to change in 6 months or 8 months down the road, what your revenue is, what your profit is going to be. Because at the end of the day, when you put in where you might be, you should get really freaking excited about it. And you'd be like, oh my God, I'll go from making, 11K a month, to 16K a month, right? And quite often you guys can move that needle even more. The third way is to reduce your churn. You either add more members, they pay you more, or they stay longer, right? They stay longer. And so there's a few improvements that you can do here. Number 1, your client journey. Really tightening up the level of service can go a long, 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 long way. This is where, I know I've shit the bed before, over years and not tightening things up. It's especially important when you have staff members because they don't care like you care. They don't put in those little things like you do. So it becomes very important to really craft that. There are retention plays that you can run to keep them for longer. Or when it's that time when you can have high churn like summers and right around now, right? In the winters, around holidays. What plays can you do to get them to bridge them across summer so they don't go on pause or leave and hopefully come back? And same thing in December. So there are retention plays that you can do and implement. And then the biggest on here too is your culture and your employees and staff members. Sometimes shitty retention is because you have somebody on your team that either A, needs to change very fast or improve, or B, they need to go. Never fun to do it. But if I look back and I looked at churn at some points in time, I looked at it like, okay, most of it's coming from one person. And we are filling a leaky bucket, which it's not going to get any more full, right? And I know it's going to be painful because either I got to take on those hours or somebody else does. We're going to hire somebody else, and we hate hiring and we want to kick that can down the road as far as possible. But sometimes when it needs to be done, you just don't want to do it, right? Dave, you're nodding on that one. But man, culture and employees can be a really big thing. So, but these are really your 3 ways. And so add more members, increase the average monthly spend, or keep them for longer. And identifying your bottleneck, figuring out the math and where it goes, and then, okay, what is the strategy that's going to get me there? Now, there are lots of strategies and tactics that can work. None of them work for everybody. I mean, other than fundamentals, right? Of course. But a lot of it depends on your business, your model, your market, and your strengths and weaknesses. You need to take the path that works for you, right? There's no blanket thing that just works for everybody. Otherwise, everybody would be successful. And we know that's not the case. So there's a lot. But at the end of the day, this profit predictor should show you bottlenecks, should show you where your business can be, should you finish up those and shore up those bottlenecks. And then it's just the right strategies to do it. And at the end of the day, every week, I want you to have extreme clarity on what you're doing. There are so, like I said, this diagram shows it all. There's so many things you could or should do in your business. And it's like we're trying to half-ass everything, but you just need to focus on one or two at a time. And I need you to start at one to make sure you have a winnable model according to realistic expectations on your acquisition, because it is much harder today than it was a few years ago, right? So some adjustments need to be made to your model to make it a lot more winnable. And then you either focus on acquisition, getting butts in the seats, your world-class retention, right? Creating your dream team to run simple systems while you start to elevate yourself as the CEO and learn these bigger skill sets and start to apply them. So what I want for you to do is figure out that bottleneck and then identify what are the one or two things I can do to move that forward. So that's pretty much it. And once you figure out that out, then it's just commitment. Put away the shiny, stop chasing the shiny objects. Take the next 4 weeks and I'm attacking this one thing or that one thing, right? Commitment to execution is the biggest differentiator I see of a gym that does 20 grand a month and a gym that does 40 or 50 grand a month is the execution of that gym owner. Okay, so time for presents, and you guys can also like ask questions, and if I didn't get the stuff, put them in there. We'll have some time afterwards too. Um, a few things. Going to give you the profit predictor, so you're going to get that now, so you can start filling this out and putting it in yourself. Okay, those of you that are willing to come, like if you don't have anything on the books, February 12th and 13th. I want you to come out and spend a couple days with Andy and I out here in Phoenix. So we booked a place in Scottsdale, and it's going to be pretty awesome. I'm going to explain it in a minute, but you can get a couple free tickets to that. And then you can also book a coaching call with me. And this is your coaching call. You get to spend it. So I'm going to give those three to you right now. But the importance of learning in person and doing the work in person, it's tremendous. Dave, that's where I met you, right? You were here in April. It was in Grand Rapids, and Matt put it on. Matt Wilbur put it on, but I had a good 6 hours, 6 or 7 hours between 2 days talking about stuff. And what I don't like about some of these meetups and seminars is like you just hear a bunch of speakers. They're up there for like 45 to 60 minutes, and they're either just pitching you something or they give you just vague stuff, and you leave with like 30 pages of notes, but you get back to work on Monday and you don't implement anything, right? Like this is going to be workshop style. We're going to get the work done in it, right? And feedback was insane from this thing because this was workshop style. That it just changed a lot for people. Dave, you're on here. I put you in here, right? So you got back and you started implementing high ticket on there, right? And that was even before we worked together. But you sold like a $2,200 one just from that, a 6 week program, which was insane. And what was kind of cool is because when we first talked too, you're like, man, my goal is to buy a house for my family, right? We're tired of renting and this and that. And you brought in a lot from implementing on that one to the point where you got under contract and you closed on it like within a few months.
$14,000 I made in like a month. And I tell you what, we closed on our house about 2 months later after taking his course. Like I can't tell you how I am so I'm indebted. I am indebted to Scott. His program is wonderful, Matt, I was with Matt, and Matt gave me I've been with Matt for a long time. So Matt helped me more with the large group stuff and some systems. And then with Scott, he helped me with bolting on, as he always say, bolting on that high ticket and some different systems. And I just kind of combined those things. And man, it's been a phenomenal journey. And that is my beautiful house that we're in right now.
Boom. That's
Yeah,
awesome. What
yeah.
I love is we didn't plan on this either. I just 2 days ago said I'm like, oh, I'm going to decide to do this webinar in 2 days. I put on Tuesday. You got my email probably. So I didn't even know you were coming on until we were just messaging yesterday. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So that wasn't planned to have you on, Dave, but that's what it's about. That's what it's about. Like money's money. It does nothing for you until you spend it on something that you value. And you wanted to do this for your family. Like that's a big thing. You're like, I want to put down roots for my family. I want to do this. Awesome. And that's what it is. I'm not a Lamborghini guy. I want security for my family, stability, opportunity, and abundance where I'm not constantly freaking stressed about this month and next month, right? And it takes a while to get there, but that's what it's all about, right? This other guy, Mike, he bolted on a high ticket. He did like, it was nuts. He did like 48 grand within like 2 or 3 months in new business. It was sick. But anyways, like these things have so much value. And I've been a business coach for, I don't know, like 5.5 years, but I'm also a mentee as well. I have worked with tons of different people and it's helped me evolve and build everything that I have now, right? So these things are important, but like I said, most conferences are designed to sell you shit and they have loose presentations and a flashy keynote speaker, right? That's not what we're going to do. So it is workshop style. We're going to actually teach you the shit here and we're going to do the stuff here, right? Which is great. I'm so excited about it. And it's the stuff that's working today, not stuff that worked 5 years ago, right? But anyways, it's February 12th and 13th in Scottsdale. Great time to get out of winter, depending on where you're living. And you're going to get the 2 tickets. So I'm going to give you the link in just a second. The next thing you're going to get is a 1,000-hour coaching call with me. This is yours to spend however you want. If you want to talk about a hiring problem, if you want to talk about a finance and like, man, I need to get an extension on this loan or this cash flow is eating me up. If you have an acquisition problem, whatever you need to talk about. And this is a great place to figure it out, right? Where is your business at now? Which key metrics are going to move it? And what should I do given my business model and my market? I'm happy to do that with you. Okay. So I think I just copied one. This was on, I think, Brandon Kersey. Last time he did a webinar, it was like 4 weeks ago. He took me up on this. He hasn't hired me or done anything, but ask him how valuable this freaking call was. And he knows what he's doing. Well, this is like a month ago for all of November and December and has a lot to work on. And his eyes just like blew up because what he thought was the problem wasn't necessarily the problem either, or what to do about it. And we went over exactly what I would do in his situation and outlined it. So this is a valuable coaching call. You guys can all get it. It's completely free for coming on. Why do we do this stuff? Because business ownership is not easy, right? Do we work with a lot of people who either hire us for a course or for one-on-one mentorship? Yes. Do we help out a ton of people who don't end up hiring us? Yes. And I'll probably see at my event. I'll see at other events. I want you to listen to the podcast. You don't have to pay us a single dollar. Just implement the shit and I'll be happy. And send me a message, right? When you do move the needle forward. I love those things, right? So here's what you want to do. Here's a QR code for the coaching call with me. I'll also drop, I should have it over here. I will drop this in the chat. There's the link. That goes directly to my scheduling calendar. And there's a blank at the bottom where you say, what do you want to cover on this call? Put in what you really want to cover. Okay? This is your call to spend it. This isn't a call to learn more about my shit and maybe buy something. It's for how you want to spend it. Okay. If you also put in their gift at the bottom, I'll know that it's a free one. It's from this. So do that. If you forget to do it, it's not a huge deal, right? Just tell me when we're on the call. But do yourself a favor and just book this now. Book this now. Okay. The tickets, that is right here. Okay. So the ticket, let me drop this in the chat as well. Copy and paste it. These are the tickets. You can use 2 of them. And if you put in the code GPS, it'll take that balance and zero it out. Okay? So take that balance and it will zero it out. You don't know anything. You just got to cover your travel, right? So, man, I tell you what, this is so important and move the needle for so many people. And we're going to take what we did before and we're going to vastly improve it on this one. And the value of just getting around other gym owners, I can't even be, it's changed my entire life. Long before I did an event, I've been to probably 15 myself. And I continue to go because I learn and a lot of them I speak at and I get the chance to teach as well. But man, it's helped move the needle. So grab yours there. And then here's the profit predictor. So I'm going to take this as well. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste this in the chat. So when you click this link or you use the QR code, whichever, go to file. So you're right. You'll go to right here, right? There's a couple of you in it right now. There's a few of you in it right there, right? Anonymous Pumpkin, Blobfish, Goose, all you guys. Great. So go to file, go to make a copy. Because the minute you want to change this, it's going to be like, it's going to ask me to give you access. You want to create your own copy so it's yours. Okay. So create your own copy. Like I said, there's a couple. You can kind of put in your current situation on one of the tabs. On another of the tabs, put in how you could change, and you'll see where you'll be 12, 24, 36 months down the road with a change. Okay? There's also a sheet in here, too, if you needed the links for the call or for the summit. So those are the 3 gifts that I had for you today. I say this a lot, but my dream for you is to get off that hamster wheel. Small business is tough, but get off that hamster wheel and make progress and get to a point where you can work because you want to, not because you have to. It's for you to build a business that can run, whether you want to work in it 40 hours a week or 20 or 10 or whatever it is. I am really passionate. This is what I'm going to go over in the February event too, is not just how to make the profits of your gym, but then turn those profits into indestructible wealth. All the tax strategies and write-offs as business owners you need to be doing to pay less to the IRS. And how do you want to invest that, whether it's index funds or real estate or whatever it is, to start generating passive income and getting really smart with your money. So you have your business that's functioning really well, not completely relying on you, right? You have a team executing things. It's very profitable. You have a great life. You take the leftover profits and you start creating passive income through your investments. Do that and have laser focus on it, and you can build a life that's pretty damn amazing. And for those of you who really know me, you know I've been through hell and back. And my first 5-6 years as a business owner have been massively rough, where I nearly lost everything more than once, skin of my teeth, doing the 78-hour work weeks, right? But I was lucky enough to catch a few breaks and learn a few things and keep that going, where I've got multiple locations and I've done the right things on the profits that generate passive income. And you don't need multiple locations. You can have one and get everything done you want in your life. But your vision is your vision, and I want to see you make that happen. And at the end of the day, it's really living the life that you deserve. There's not much stopping you. If you're not there yet, there's not much stopping you from getting to where you need to be. Like I said, most of you have all done the hard damn work. And you just got to really figure out what those 1 or 2 things are that are really going to catapult you to the next level. How can you make an extra $50,000 in profit, $100,000 in profit next year? Chances are it's not by doubling your membership for most of you. So hopefully this was helpful, guys.
Listen, if you're stuck and could use some advice in your business,
Whether you're just starting out, a veteran in the business, or expanding online or into multiple locations, you can hop on a free call with us to pick our brains at ptlegends.com/one-on-one call. You can see that in the show notes. That is with numbers. Chances are we'll be able to help you get some clarity on what you need to do specifically in your business to get to the next level. It's not a sales call. We'll connect you with the right resources to help you solve your problems. But if you want to learn more about working with us, that's cool too. We can share that information should you want it. So book your call now to get out of the rat race before your week consumes you, which is easy to do at ptlegends.com/one-on-one call. That's with the number 1 on the number 1 call. You can find this in the show notes. See you soon.